Hello, everyone. Welcome to Young Leaders Emerge, our Election Day Live about the power of Gen Z and Millennial women on the ballot and at the polls. As we're waiting to folks to jump on and join us, I want to remind you that Emerge will be going live 2 more times today at 2 p.m. Eastern and again at 4 p.m. Eastern. So mark your calendar. You don't want to miss those. And if you haven't checked out Emerge's new leadership development organization for self-identifying women and non-binary leaders, check it out at WLE.us and sign up to get notified when our next application period ends. And for those just joining, again, welcome to Young Leaders Emerge Live. My name is Diane Lee. I go by she, her pronouns. I'm development director here at Emerge and also president of the California Young Democrats. I want to welcome you on behalf of the whole team here at Emerge. And I'm so excited to be joined by Candace Harris, from Run for Something's Midwest pod director, and State Senator London Lamar, the youngest person ever elected to the Tennessee State House and the youngest serving state senator in Tennessee. And it's absolutely no secret to anyone on this live that after the Supreme Court overturned the Roe decision in June, women got mad, we got fed up, and we took action. And with Gen Z women registering to vote in record numbers as Democrats, but how is this turning into women under 35 like us running for office? What is being done to make running for office as a young woman more accessible and achievable? And to answer these questions, I'm turning to Candace Harris, Run for Something's Midwest pod director. Candace, please tell us more about yourself and Run for Something and your work.
Hi, my name's Candace Harris. I use she, her pronouns, and I have been working at Run for Something for 3 years now in their Midwestern pod. So what we do at Run for Something is we recruit and support candidates who are 40 and under to run for state and local office. And we have an intentional recruitment and support goal of making sure that more than 50% of our candidates at least 50%. So that means that is just the base level of candidates are women. So I've been really excited to do this work, and it's very gratifying as a Black woman to be working with candidates who a lot of times are not used to seeing women even on this side of the political ecosystem, like as campaign supporters or campaign managers or consultants, and really just affirm them in their journey to elected office.
That's awesome. And thank you so much for your ongoing partnership with Emerge as well. How does Run for Something work with young women particularly interested in running for office, and why is it important that these millennial and Gen Z women run?
So we basically meet people where they are. So that can be anywhere from I'm just thinking about running for office to I'm getting ready to file for election day. And our goal is to provide them institutional, tactical, and operational support to make sure that they can run the strongest campaigns as possible. And one thing that we really emphasize is that we're trying to break down that thought process of what a lot of people think of as a viable candidate or like a person that should be running for office. We want to work with women who have a passion for bettering their community, who are already doing the work. A lot of times when I'm meeting candidates, they are already organizing in their communities. They are going to their city council meetings. They have done so much work already. And so it's like, hey, why haven't you thought about running for office? So that's where we're really here to just make sure that we get them filed on the ballot, get them the support they need, and most importantly, get them elected in office. And we also have a program too that supports people once they are elected so that they can learn how to be strong, elected officials rooted in their communities and in the values that made them step up and run.
Absolutely. And I think something that we hear a lot as young women is pushback about how it's not our time and how we should wait our turn. Why do you think it is that young women receive this feedback? How do young women run differently and lead differently?
So that feedback is really ironic because I feel like if we were waiting, we would probably be waiting for an undisclosed period of time. So I always tell people, whenever people say that, like, one, listen to who's telling you that, because I guarantee if they're a man, they absolutely did not wait to run. And young people absolutely run differently because first, we are the majority of the country now, so we are wildly underrepresented in elected office. And if the point of elected office is to truly look like who our communities are, which are diverse, and a lot of young people, Gen Z and millennials, are a lot of the population now, then it absolutely doesn't look like that. But we also run differently because we are really close to the problems that we are facing in the United States. Um, take for instance a person who is running for school board who might have just graduated from high school and have seen some of the devastating things that are happening in our school board meetings, of even things about gun violence and gun safety and how that really affects how people feel safe going to school. Why wouldn't that person be the best person to step up and run for their school board, because they are really, really close to those issues? So that's what we're really trying to do at Run for Something. And we know that Gen Z and millennial women are the people to represent, because we are living through these crises, and we're also living through things that we're living through literally losing constitutional rights, things that I don't think any of us really thought we were going to have to experience in our lifetime. So we're definitely the ones who are ready to step up and fight to make sure that those rights are protected by being in elected office.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Our perspectives are so different than other generations. And on top of the issues you named, it's also the environmental crises. And you're right about losing the rights that former generations have been so comfortable with. How does our perspective in those elected offices, do you think, differ? And how do we present policy changes differently?
Well, first and foremost, I think that we definitely are, I think we have this fire behind us as young people because we, feel like a lot, we have this urgency of now. Um, and we definitely approach that like that. But I also think it's how we are willing to like listen to people. It's even little things like when you think about policy and what elected officials actually do, and that really should be informed by our constituents. If we are electing young people who are used to being those folks who are organizing their communities, also maybe used to not being listened to by older folks and have really had to beat down the door. Wouldn't that be great to have an elected official who is wanting to make sure that those constituents are lifted up when they come into their office, and that they're giving their full attention to folks who are actually experiencing the problems? It's really that's what we really mean by electing and people who represent our communities, not just folks who have power, who have built power throughout their lifetime, but people who are experiencing big problems right now, who are uniquely positioned to solve them, and who are willing to step up and do the work. So, and it really just takes on a different shape too, because you have young people who are, working on policies around gun violence, who have grown up with active shooter drills since childhood. And that is so different from older generations who, yes, this is important to them as well. But the way that we have lived through this and have seen that, actually, this does not have to be how it is, because we actually have parents and grandparents who didn't have to go through this when they were younger. So, what do we do as people who have gone through it to make sure that we can better things for future generations?
Absolutely. And we'd be remiss to say today is election day. Are you seeing any trends on the ground in the Midwest with young women candidates? If so, what are those trends?
So I'm definitely seeing that we still have a lot of folks, and I think we started seeing a lot of this in 2020, but activists and organizers stepping up to run for office. There's a candidate named Katie Beth Davis, who is one of those people who came to mind. She's running for state senate in Michigan, the first woman of color to run in that district. And she has been organizing for years and just finally said, hey, I'm going to get on the ballot. We're seeing a lot of, I've seen a lot of our judicial candidates here at Run for Something. The majority of the folks we're running with are young women. So two of them are on the ballot in Ohio, Melissa Klobuchar and Jennifer O'Donnell. Jennifer definitely stands out because she's a public defender. And a lot of times we overlook the fact that we probably need people who have been on both sides of the aisle and of the legal system and representing different types of folks to have that perspective on our benches. Some other things that I've seen a lot of amazing teamwork between candidates. There's a group of young women who are running for Nebraska school boards, and everything from the state school board to the local school boards, they all know each other. They are all connecting with each other. And that's really great for us to see at Run for Something, because we also try to create those connections. Because what I hear a lot of times, especially from women, is that this is a very isolating experience. So when we endorse people at Run for Something, we're like, hey, if you don't know somebody else who's running in your community, or if you don't know someone else who has run for office before, let's make sure we connect you to someone in our mentorship program or someone in our alumni advisors program. So you absolutely realize you are not alone in this. And there is someone who is walking your shoes and is willing to be that extra layer of support. Another thing that I've noticed too, especially when I was on the doors in Michigan with a candidate a few weeks ago, Jamie Churches, who is running an amazing election in Michigan's House District 27, is that we are really leaning into the issues that matter. And we're not willing to, like, when we're having a conversation on the doors, one thing that I love about Jamie is people say, hey, are you pro-choice or pro-life? And she will lean into the fact that she believes in every woman's right to reproductive health care. And she doesn't back away from that. And I think voters really relate to that honesty, that transparency. And even if they disagree with her view, she's like, I can still represent you because, hey, we might not agree on everything, but we are in a moment in time where we do have to be transparent about all the things that are going on in our communities. And I'm going to lean into the fact that I'm going to fight for this as your representative, but I'm also going to listen to what you care about and are concerned with. And that's really refreshing. I don't think voters expect that. And I think that's the way we're winning over voters, especially in some of these tougher communities where candidates are literally winning a vote on every door that they knock on.
That's great. I love hearing about the tenacity of women and uplifting other women as well. So thank you for that, Candace. Next up, we'll hear from our own Emerge alum, who is the youngest person ever elected to the Tennessee State House. And as I mentioned, is the youngest serving state senator in Tennessee, London Lamar. She is the state representative for the 33rd Senate District and the youngest female and Black legislator in the state Senate. Senator Lamar, welcome. Today is election day and you are on the ballot to be reelected, but your journey didn't start there. Tell us about how you started in public service and why did you first decide to run for office?
Wow. So I would say that I started in public service when I was in high school or middle school. I was always one of those young kids who liked to be involved, was very nosy. And I always felt like I could have some sort of impact in whatever community I was in, regardless of what age I was. And so that meant getting involved in student council, volunteering with other people, getting involved in church groups. So the ideas of service and leadership was something that manifested in me. And I kept those values close to me as I progressed and got older. So in college, I kind of did the same thing, got involved on campus. And I was in a campus where most girls did not align with my political beliefs, but I felt like as a woman and someone who cared about what I believed in, regardless, there are people that can connect with you and you should work to push your issues and your perspectives out there. So that's what I did. So when I moved back to Memphis after college and I was starting to get involved in the Democratic Party, I was looking around thinking to myself, where are all the young people? And there wasn't a lot of young people involved. And so it was really hard to have some decision power in a body of government where everyone was skeptical of your capacity to lead by virtue of your age group. And so what I did was, instead of, asking and begging for a seat at the table, I made my own and I restarted the Shelby County Young Democrats, was our local city chapter of Young Democrats. And I built that chapter to be very, very active, one of the most active chapters in the state. And then following the next year, I became the president Tennessee Young Democrats. So I see that you're president of California. I had Tennessee in previously, and that having the opportunity to connect with all of these young people across my state under the age of 35 about political engagement and getting involved, not only allowed me to help inspire other young people to take on leadership opportunities through my organization and giving them the skills and the inspiration and the passion to run for office, but it also helped me as a leader build on my skills, learn how to work with people, learn how to plan things, learn how to organize. On top of the fact, I ran for office when I was 23, but I lost that campaign. And so what I said to myself was I had to keep working and working and working, because while my passion, my heart is there, my strategy needed some tweaking. And so what I did was I found out about the Emerge program, and that this was an organization that took aspiring Democratic leaning women and gave them the skills and tools and resources and training to run effective campaigns or become effective campaign operatives, which is just as important as running for office to me. And so I was able to go through these classes and connect with other women across the state of Tennessee who shared this passion for our community, but also shared this need for strategy and skills. We were all able to come together and go through this training. And I'm proud to be an inaugural class of Tennessee with Emerge America and Emerge Tennessee, and be able to connect with other women who I can now lean on to this day to support me and love on me. And especially in my hardest times as being an elected official and now still running for office, but also we can connect with each other about ideas and other resources we can use based on this training we had, while also learning the specific data and science that's needed in order to run a campaign. You can't just get out there and buy some yard signs and think that, okay, people are going to know who you are or vote for you. There's a strategy behind that. How do we use data? How do we use a voter file? How do you hire specific people? Do you have a communications plan? All of those things are taught in that class that I think that women don't get, because historically we're not used to running for office that we're seeing. Now, because of programs like Emerge, women have the backing and the support and training they need to run effective campaigns. And if that video didn't show you anything, we're actually winning.
Beautiful. And I love hearing about your connections with your Emerge sisters as well. And our Emerge alums are always such great advocates for the organization. So thank you. How long after your Emerge training did you start running?
So I finished Emerge in 2017, and I was running for office starting in December. So I think I graduated in like June, and I was running for office in December. So very close to when my after my training. And how it even happened, I didn't enter the training expecting to run for office that year. But when I found out that a seat was opening up in my home district, then I thought the timing was right. And I didn't question, was it time for me to go? Because I had everything I need. I had the training, I had the leadership positions, I had the career that put me in the community with folks and advocating for solid issues such as women's reproductive rights. And I had the activism as well. So I pulled all those things together to present myself as a trusted asset to my community who had the leverage and experience, despite the fact that I was only 27 years old at the time, that they can trust me, that I knew what I was doing. I'll be able to run a campaign. And we won. And I became, at the time, the youngest woman in the 111th General Assembly, and served 2 terms there. Now I'm the youngest woman in African-American states in history. So, I think that having an organization that can catapult you to your next leadership opportunity, to allow you to have the leverage and the opportunity and the power to not only get good things done for your community, but inspire other women, especially other young women, that they can get involved in this, is just so important to me. Because I think the why I needed Emerge so bad is because there, a lot of older women were skeptical, or it's wait your turn, or, they weren't telling you what you needed to know in order to be in positions of power, because they didn't trust that you know what you were doing. The young people don't know what they're doing. But that's not true. We are one of the most educated generations in history. One of the most culturally friendly generations in history. And we actually care. We just are using our caring in different ways than voting. But that doesn't mean that I myself need to get involved in this position. Until then, while we're doing all of these other things, like writing whole white papers on social media about these particular issues, we also got to leave the house, get away from the computer, put the phone down, stand in line, and vote for the people who are going to make sure you have everything you need to live a happy, healthy, discrimination-free, loving, kind, household full community. And that's what we need, because we have the resources in this country to do that. But we just got to get more women in office, because we care.
Yeah, thank you so much for your ongoing, being an ongoing champion of women, and uplifting others, as a mentor as well. How do you work to get other young women interested in running for your office and involved in politics?
That's a good question. I do it two ways. One, actually working with them, and two, inspiring them through social media. So I intentionally like try to use my Instagram, and if I don't forget to use TikTok, it's still a little hard for me. Like I try to be, produce culturally relevant content where that can relate to everything from the fact of my hair. I got red hair right now. Making sure, I still shop off Fashion Nova and everything. Like those things are trending, and young people like fashion, they like art, they like music, they like all of these things. And so I want to ensure, let them know that, these politicians don't have to be perfect patties and listen to gospel music all the time. I feel like that's what they assume politicians are. Like, no, like I'm a real person. I like to hang out. I'm young, unmarried. I'm single. I'm 31. Like I'm still living my best life just like you, but I'm also can get my work done too. And so, but we have to also help create a balanced image for them, because I think that we let the world paint an image of us. And I don't think that the world's image of politicians is really positive right now. So I try to my best to change that image through my branding. But then on the flip side, I also find young women who want to be engaged, and making sure I bring them on my campaign, let them run my campaign, give them opportunities to be exposed, to learn, be involved. I always have a young staff. My staff so far, I've been in office under the age of 30. So for me, I just want to be someone that young people can say, I went to Senator Lamar and she gave me an opportunity, and now I'm able to do these things. And I think that is so important, because anybody's next best move is just an opportunity. And I think that if we're not giving people opportunities to gain those skills, gain those opportunities, have that exposure, then we're not cultivating the next generation of leaders, because we're not actively bringing them into the space that they can learn and be prepared when it's time for us to move on. Because what we must remember, it's always going to be a time for us to move on. I am not going to be here forever. I may not be here 4 years from now. But what I want to say is that if I am gone, who did I prepare to take my spot right after me? And I think that is so important for me.
Thank you so much, Senator. And you are an amazing example of an incredible young Emerge alum. We're about out of time, but I want to thank both speakers so much for being here, taking time out of your election day. Thank you, Candace. Thank you, Senator Lamar, for partnering with Emerge on this live. And as I mentioned at the beginning, if you haven't checked out Emerge's leadership development organization, go to wle.us. And we have 2 more times today that you can tune in live with us at 2 p.m. Eastern and 4 p.m. Eastern. So mark this on your calendar, and you don't want to miss those. And thank you so much for everyone who watched, and see you again soon.